This Mercedes has already been fully restored. Do you still remember what it looked like back then? For those of us who have been deep in this industry for more than 10 years as a refinement restoration vlogger, together to do a deep analysis of every single repair result on this car, all the parts in front of the engine, we replace them all. When the front gets hit, the hood is definitely going to be damaged, no matter whether the hood is repaired or replaced. First, don't look at the hood bolts yet, or the corners, or the seam sealer lines. Why do I say don't look at those first? Because all of those can be replaced. Parts from a donor car won't have issues afterward, and bolts can also be repainted and aged. After paint, there can be overspray haze, but later you can polish it off. It'll end up very smooth. You won't be able to spot anything there. So how do we tell whether the car was repainted, repaired, or replaced? Use a paint thickness gauge on the inner edges of the hood. Measure panel by panel inside. As long as the paint film readings fluctuate too much, it means it's been refinished, repaired. Also look inside here. Every section of the hood has its factory stamping texture. Shine a flashlight. Aftermarket paint can never be perfectly even inside. Misted overspray will reveal something fishy right here. And there are clips inside the hood, clipping onto the liner. If those clips were ever removed, they'll show removal marks. Those clips are usually not replaced. With these few points, you can judge the hood, whether it's original or has been repaired, and the night vision panel too, whether it was replaced or repaired. As long as it was removed, watch these screws on top. They can be treated, then sprayed and aged, so you can't tell. So how do you identify repaint on that panel? There are new techniques now for reverse restoration and style recovery to mimic the original readings. But the factory readings were sprayed by robotic arms. No matter how you spray by hand, you can't match the factory state. So measure panel by panel, and so on. As long as the readings have big fluctuations, it means it was repainted. Because if you measure panel by panel, the factory values are basically consistent. But after repaint, it'll be 100 here, 120 there. That means it was repainted. And there's another spot. Like we just said, you can't tell by looking at the screws alone. You can also use the gauge to measure around the edges of the screw area. Check the reading, because when they spray around screw edges, the reading becomes higher. If it's uneven, that's overspray. You can call it replaced, or call it repaired. Next, let's check the headlights. The headlight fasteners are zinc-plated, not painted screws. If a zinc-plated screw was ever removed, it will leave marks. Look closely and you'll see it. At the corner here, there will definitely be marks. And also the adjustment screw that presses on the lamp. It always leaves imprints. If it's misaligned, it proves it was removed. But removal doesn't necessarily mean it was replaced. You need to check this part, the label. If it was replaced, the label is usually replaced too. Otherwise it looks ugly. On this car, the label has already been replaced. I deliberately tore it, so you can see the difference. This label is aftermarket. Aftermarket. It often won't be exactly the same as OEM. Some of you might ask, if one side is replaced and looks different, can't I replace both sides? How do you check headlight labels? Search short video platforms. For example, if this is a Mercedes GLC, what the Mercedes GLC headlight label looks like. First, font size. It can't be exactly identical, because there's a lot of text on it. Also can't be exactly identical. You can tell the difference from the original. Also the headlight connector. Once it's removed, they must unclip the connector or pick at the clip. It will leave marks and imprints. No matter what method you use, there will still be pry marks here. Next, let's talk about the radiator support / cooling frame. You need to understand, if they come to you for a refined repair, what's their goal? They want that after the crash, to spend less money, fix it a bit better, so later when they sell the car, they can sell at a better price and reduce their loss. That's the mindset. With that mindset, they won't be willing to spend more to buy all OEM factory parts. They'll replace with donor parts and aftermarket parts. This car used donor parts plus branded parts, a mix and match build. They didn't replace with pure OEM parts, so there will be some gaps left. How do we tell? First, donor parts. If there are scratches or scuffs on them, they're usually donor parts. And what are branded aftermarket parts? If the edges have burrs, because donor parts are essentially OEM parts, original parts, their edges are smooth, not rough. But branded parts, their edges are very rough. If you see burrs on the edge, or uneven trimming, then it's a branded aftermarket part. You can tell just by these edges. Next, when replacing the radiator support, they remove all the small tabs on top, or cables. And these clips. You can lightly touch these clips. If it moves, the original wouldn't move like that. Once clipped in, it stays solid. It won't show this kind of looseness. It proves this area was disassembled. If these places were disassembled, they were basically replaced. Otherwise, no one would bother removing them. By just one clip, you might not be able to define replacement, but look at the whole top. There are many clips up there, and these fasteners. Once those fasteners were removed, they must leave marks. Pry in with a screwdriver and you'll see a nick. It's visible. These clips and small clamps, and these small hose clamps, are usually not replaced. Even if there are a few marks, they won't replace them because in refined repair, people often don't care about these tiny details. Usually won't sell the car, they'd keep it long term. These small clips don't affect anything much, so they ignore it. When they ignore these details, you must pay attention to them. Only then can you find the problems. Whether it's removing the frame or the structure, everyone knows. Once zinc-plated screws are tightened, you can feel the corners. They're usually rough, or show disassembly marks. Normally they're very white clean. If some spots turn dark, then something was installed and tightened. Same with the white screws on the main rails. If it was removed, there will be marks. Look closely and you'll see. And this car's night vision unit. Was it deformed from the impact at first? By naked eye, you can't see problems there. But you can measure with a paint gauge. Can't be exactly identical to factory. If the readings differ from factory, compare with another spot behind it. Measure a bit behind. Then measure again. If two spots differ, it proves it was repainted and repaired. To be even simpler, you need to remove the wheel. Remove the inner liner. And after removing it, what you can see is what they want you to see. Those areas will be done very well. But the places you can't see, you need to remove parts. Then you'll see the repair traces. Because those areas are very hard to finish perfectly. And repaired areas will eventually show marks. To make every car, every repaired area, perfectly perfect, the cost is too high. And customers can't accept that high cost. Next step, the dashboard airbag area. Whether it's repaired or replaced, replacement is basically impossible because the dashboard is extremely expensive. So usually it's repaired. The leather skin will tear open. Then you check if the stitch line is straight. With one glance, you can spot it. If the stitch line isn't straight, it proves this area was repaired because factory stitching is straight and neat. That's one. Second, the outer skin might be wrapped and stitched with padding glued inside. But the lower layer is usually filled with putty. The putty is used to fill and level it. When leveling, shine side light across the surface. If it's not flat, it proves it was repaired. Open the side cover of the dashboard, then check the dashboard screws. It proves this area was taken apart. Normally they won't remove a dashboard for no reason, only when there's an issue. Now let's talk about the main airbag. The main airbag can be repaired or replaced. If the main airbag was replaced or removed, there's a small hole on the steering wheel. Whether it's an open hole or a sealed hole, they have to poke it. There's a spring inside that pops it out. That hole is now clearly visible. This leather has been punctured, which proves it has been disassembled. Otherwise, who would randomly? There's also a type where the center hole has no leather cover. Then you can't tell from outside. So use a flashlight to look into the hole. Because inside that hole, there's a small metal tab that pushes the spring. When you push it, the airbag comes out. So check that small metal tab, whether it has push marks, or paint wear, or anything like that. From that, you can also tell the airbag was removed. Thanks, bro. Still no rain. We are the champions, setting it all. Forget we on fire. Rolling out.